welcome and thank you for the latest episode of Goodwin Live. And we've got a very interesting panel today to interview. So I'll run through them individually. And we will end off today with Chris Mason. It will be his second attempt at interviewing Chris. Chris Mason, a famous darts player, got to the semi-finals and quarter-finals of the world title. And he's got a lot of darting stories, and we'll find out about his interest in boxing. Before Chris Mason, we've got the return of ELLIE Scotney. Ellie was good fun on here before, and unfortunately that evening, for those of you that watched, you'll remember that Hannah Rankin come on and there was a crash on the site, and we lost the whole footage, and then people said they wanted to see Ellie and they couldn't re-watch her, so we've asked her to come back on. Hi Reese, how you doing? Before Ellie, we've got Danny Couzens. A man that probably is one of the fighters that deserve to be a champion, but never actually made it to become a champion. Before Danny, we've got WADI CAMACHO, multiple title winner. WADI CAMACHO had an exceptional career. It was unbelievable. And he was a multiple winning champion. We'll talk to WADI about what he's doing since his last fight and since he's stopped boxing. So we're going to see now whether our first guest, Chantelle Cameron's here. Now Chantelle is mandatory for Katie Tay's WBC World Lightweight title. And she's somebody that's an immensely talented young lady. So I'm hoping we find her on here, and she's in, but let's have a look. No, she's not here yet. If not, we'll talk for a couple of more minutes. If not, we'll call somebody else in. But yeah, so Chantelle's due to join us at 7. She's just come in, so great, we'll get hold of her. Let's just come on, so see where she is. Just waiting for Chantelle now to join us, and then we'll have a chat about what she's been up to during lockdown. Chantelle, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I haven't seen you since we were both at that boxing hearing that day. It's quite a while ago, isn't it?
Yeah, wow, that was 2016, 2017.
Yeah, it's all good. So where are you living now? You still in Northampton at the moment?
Northampton, because I'm not in camp, so I'm back home in Northampton.
Are you keeping up training, or are you just taking it as some time off?
No, I'm not going to take it as time off because I'm scheduled for some big fights, so I didn't want to take any time off. So I'm ticking over, but obviously it's not the same as the gym, is it? But I'm doing what I can.
And did you have a fight lined up when we went into lockdown?
Yeah, so I was on the Terry Harper and Tasha Jonas undercard, just doing a warm-up fight. Oh. So I was doing a 6-pounder, and then I was scheduled to have a world title shot.
Did Eddie Hearn, was Eddie Hearn signed you, or was it just that you were just fighting on the show?
No, because I'm mandatory for the lightweight, super lightweight. Yeah, but I'm taking the super lightweight, so I'm mandatory for that as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna have a shot at the super lightweight and then come back down to lightweight again. Be greedy, get what I can.
Who's the champion at super? Who's the champion at super lightweight?
It was McCall. She's fighting Cecilia Blackhouse now. So it's going to be vacant. Okay,
so they'll find you the right fight, and then you'll be away.
Yeah, so that was the plan.
So then you're going to drop down to lightweight again afterwards, are you?
Yeah, lightweight's a better weight division for me, but obviously I don't want to be waiting around forever. I need to grab the opportunity what's there, and MTK has done a great job of getting me the mandatory for super lightweight. So I'm just going to get the world title there. Maybe go for multiple world titles there, but definitely not leaving the lightweight division. I think that's where I'm best at.
Well, that's good. So, I mean, obviously I'm not going to go into any detail about, you started your career with the McGuigans, didn't you? And then you left.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask anything, but is that now resolved, or is that still ongoing?
Luckily, March, my contract ended, but last year it was ongoing. So that was a bit of a nightmare, really, because I was obviously trying to prepare for fights in Manchester, but I was going down to London for trying to get the matter resolved and that. But luckily now that's all over now. So I can just concentrate on my actual boxing now.
And so you train with Jamie Moore now?
Yeah, with Jamie Moore and Nigel Travis.
And how are you finding it there?
Oh, amazing. It's so good. Such a good atmosphere in the gym and just lovely people as well. Yeah, just not just a boxer there, like they look after you like you're their own. So it's much better.
And do you go up? Do you stay up there when you're training as well?
Yeah, I stay up there. So Manchester's like 2.5 hours for me. So I
Hmm.
stay up there the Monday to Friday and come home at the weekends.
Oh, brilliant. So are you looking one day to try and get revenge for your amateur fight with Katie Taylor? Is that your plan one day?
100%, 100%. Amateurs is different to the pros as well.
Yeah,
But
without a doubt.
even in the amateurs, like Katie's a league of her own. She's an amazing athlete. But in the amateurs, it was my second international. So I was
Yeah.
novice anyway. But she beat me. She beat me hands down. Like, but I think it would have been more interesting the end of my amateur career to have had a bout with her. But I never got the bout. I always different ends of the tournaments.
I mean, I genuinely think, and I say what I think as a pro, you'll beat her. I think I'd be having a good wager on that. I think you're hot favourite to beat her. It's a different world, professionals, and I think she's I mean, she's obviously a superb pro, but
Yeah.
she's not invincible. She's not invincible as a professional, that's for sure.
I think in the pros, I think I'll hurt her. I think I'll be too much. I
Yeah,
think,
so do I.
especially in my style, I'm relentless. Like when I seen Delphine Pursoon boxer, I feel Delphine was great. She was a massive engine, but I feel like I'm stronger and I'm fitter and
Sure,
I've got a better boxing skill set than Delphine. So as soon as I
for
seen
sure.
that, I was like, I can win this fight, and this it made me grow in confidence as well because I was like, I can win this. It's a winnable
Yeah.
fight for me. She's not invincible.
Yeah, that's true. So what's your life normally outside? So apart from when you've been in lockdown, what do you do apart from boxing?
Eat like I like to go out and eat with my mates. Cinema a lot. Just basically just socializing and chilling out really.
You still
Don't
keep in
really
contact,
do
obviously,
much.
you keep in contact with everybody in Northampton still. Then, so
Oh,
you've done
100.
a
Oh,
great.
yeah, make sure. Look, it's my hometown, and I've got great support in Northampton. So when I come home at weekends, I make sure I catch up with everybody
Yeah,
and go see my mates. I go on walks now. So if I'm not training, and it's like a rest day, I'll go on like nice walks, bike
yeah.
rides, just things to chill out. I'm always active. I'm always on the go. So even when I'm having a rest day, I'm doing something.
Have you had any notice from Eddie about when they're expecting to stage your fight?
No idea. So I don't know if I'll be having the warm-up fight or I don't actually know what's happening. Obviously, at the moment, there's a lot of rumours going around and saying boxing's going to be closed doors, all sorts. But I guess nobody actually knows what's going to be happening.
Nobody knows for sure.
Yeah,
It looks
nobody knows for
likely.
sure.
It looks likely it's going to be closed doors. That seems to be the way it's going to go. But even so, they're still going to, even behind closed doors, Sky are going to need some content. So I think there'll be a lot of busy shows on. But it's whether they're going to give people warm ups because Sky might want competitive fights start to finish if it's behind
That's
closed
why
doors.
I'm
That's the
staying.
issue.
I'm staying ready. I'll be willing to just go straight into the world title fight. I've worked hard enough for it, so I just want my shot. And if it's got to be my next fight, I'm happy to take it.
But yeah, the only other problem you've got is will they be allowing people to fly in, boxers to fly in from abroad? So that's the next. There's so many things unanswered until we can get back to normal, isn't it? It's really
Yeah, I
difficult for you.
heard that it's going to be difficult to get international boxers in.
Mm. And again,
So
there's not many.
hopefully it won't be a massive delay because nobody does know what's going to happen. So I'm being optimistic, but at the same time, we've got to be realistic as well. So
Yeah,
I just
spot
got to
on.
make sure that I'm ready for it when it does happen. And if I
Yeah,
get
for
a
those.
warm-up fight, great. But if I don't,
Listen, you can win that without a warm up. You can win that without. No, I'm certain you're going to be one of the top women's boxers that the UK is going to produce now. I think you'll win multiple world titles, probably 2 or 3 weights. So I wish
I
you all the
just
best,
need
Chantelle.
the opportunity. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, so no, it's good. You've got the opportunity now. I mean, Eddie will want to keep if you're going to be winning world titles. So you've got your platform there, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. Just got to get that shot, and then it's going to be good, be an exciting journey.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thanks a lot, Chantelle, for coming on. Really good to talk to
Wicked.
you
Thank
again.
you.
You look
No
after
worries.
yourself, and I'll catch up with you
Andrew,
soon.
take care. Right, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. and that's future world champion Chantelle. And from a future champion, we're going now to a past champion. Hopefully, we're going to find WADI CAMACHO on here. See if we can track down WADI. If he's here, but he's normally late for everything. If not, we'll jump to Danny Couzens if WADI's not here. Oh, he's here. Brilliant. He's on time. What a man. Here we go. So after WADI, we're going to speak to Danny, and they had two great fights. Here he is.
What's going on, bud?
Trouble with WADI with reception.
Hey, Lynn, you alright?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. You well? You got your little one with you?
Hey, Lynn, you alright?
Yeah, I'm all good. I'm all good. For those, I've had to write this down to remember it, but I'm gonna say it now. So WADI CAMACHO, former prize fighter champion of 2013, 3 times Southern Area champion with 6 defences of that title, or 6 title wins, the Commonwealth champion, a former English title challenger, and a former WBC International Silver title challenger. That is some resume to look back on.
I know, man. Like I said, it's all that hard driving, just believing in yourself.
Hello.
Yeah. Albert, can Papa talk now, please? Yeah, it's all that hard work, and like I said, I've had a lot of doors shut. Like I said, my career was sort of finished, but obviously I had a good meeting with yourself, and then obviously, like I said, you put me back onto the picture, and like I said, collected the Southern Area and the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good thing. I mean, it was quite emotional. I mean, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people wrote you off and said you wouldn't win anything again, and you won the Commonwealth title in an amazing performance, and it just shows you that you were a warrior. And when people said it was all over, it wasn't, was it?
Yeah, of course that. But like I said, I think that was a little bit more as a drive, because I had so many negative people saying to me, "Oh no, you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do that." But for me, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna prove everyone wrong. You know, and like I said, sometimes I fell at the wagon, but you know, at the same time, I just tried to get myself back to focus and continue. Obviously, listen to you sometimes.
That was difficult at times, but you done a good job. You were great. For me, you're not only a great boxer, you're a great friend as well. And it was a pleasure, like looking after you. It's a pleasure to see you now and talk to you now. Anyway, I mean, we had a great relationship. We still have, which is great. And this is what it's about. It's what it's about.
Yeah, no,
so,
100%. But like I said as well, like the pinnacle was as well is that because I've had so many different trainers, and it's like not like I fell out with them, but I couldn't find the right one to actually gel. And obviously, like me having a conversation with yourself, and then you said, "Oh, you know what? Why don't you go and see Terry Coulter?" Like, you know, I'm like, no. So I must have left that for like a good 6 months or something. And then I got back in contact with him. You went, "Look, you need to go and see him, blah, blah, blah." And then from there, it was just a great relationship. Like I said, I felt the love. And that's when obviously went forward ahead, and it was good. Like I said, the people that
I remember having that conversation for you. We were in a pub with yourself, Lou, in Finchley at that time. Do you remember? And that's when we first had that conversation. Yeah.
I think Albert was like 1 year old or something. I remember that.
That's brilliant. So of your, I mean, listen, your career is amazing, and I don't think sometimes you get the credit you deserve when people talk about you. But I mean, I think you had an amazing career. And what if I had to say to you one highlight of your career, what was it?
Highlight.
What was your best night? What do you think? I mean, there's so many of them, but what night stood out?
I think the one that was the combo was nearly, but obviously, like I said, I had all that chairs dropping in, so basically I felt robbed from that because I couldn't really enjoy myself and celebrate. So I reckon that the other one was the prize fight, because that was another one that everybody actually thought that I'm not going to win at all. And then all of a sudden, you know, I went against the odds. And then, but like I said, for my family to be there, my friends, close friends, it was amazing, amazing night.
I mean, that was when you announced yourself, wasn't it? That's when you announced yourself to the world of boxing. I think that day.
Yeah, like I said, you know, like I said, I've had a lot of different opportunities as like to get the English title and this and that. But like I said, in boxing, and this is out to all the other boxers out there, your mindset has to be totally clear, because you can't go into a fight and if your mindset's not there, regardless how much training you've done, if your mind's not there, you're not gonna win. Like you're just gonna go back down, you know. But like I said, my career's been like this, like a roller coaster. You know, that's how life is, unfortunately.
That's an easy life. But what you showed was when you were down, you got back up, and you got back up bigger and better. And that was just you know, it's amazing, because it's very easy to be doing it when you win. How many boxers do you see have one loss and never fight again because they can't take the losing? And you lost, you come back up, you fought back again. It was amazing.
But yeah, 100%. But like I said, it's that yes, I have that self motivation to obviously push on. But sometimes in this type of sport, because it's type of lonely sport like it, sometimes you need, obviously you've got the right managers, etc. But you need the right coach as well, like, and the right team around you. And like I said, I'm so kind of blessed that obviously you hooked me up with Terry, and then after I had Lee Miles, Alex Branning, John Branning. So it's like them not just pushing me really hard, and I just felt the love as well. So that's why I got to achieve what I achieved. But you know,
have you got any regrets about over your career? Any regret? Have you got any regrets?
Regrets. Yeah, that I didn't win the English title. That's one belt that I went for it 3 times. Yeah? And I lost. Obviously, like I said, the first one was China Club.
Oh yeah, 3 times. Yeah. When
I had
3 times.
5 fights. Then after, obviously, it was 8 belt. But obviously, when I got it back,
and Dion. Yeah.
And obviously Dion that. But like I said, with the Dion fight, it was just one of them situations that I was just doing things myself, and it wasn't WADI in the ring. It was just probably what everyone says, the crazy macho or something, you know. And but yeah, you know, like I said, that's the other thing. And that's one thing I said to you before when I joined, obviously, you to be my manager. I said, you know, I want the southern area, the English, the British, and then so and so and so. Obviously, I jumped through stages and that, but you know, I'm kind of pleased, obviously, what I've done and what I achieved, and that, you know.
And are you? Well, 2 questions. Are you comfortable in retirement? And the second question is, are you still going to stay involved in boxing?
Well, at the moment, I'm still involved in the boxing area because I teach a white collar boxing bad boy promotion. So I teach them as well. I got a lot of one-on-one sessions that I do with clients. So I'm still involved. I'm still holding power. I'm still doing bits and bobs, showing people the correct way to actually throw punches, etc. So I'm still involved. But you know, that's it. The last fight I actually went to was actually at your call at one of your shows. And obviously, when I saw, obviously, it was Logan's fighting, ideally I wanted him to obviously win the title and this and that. But obviously, when the other dude won it, I was like, oh my God. And it's like, I feel like ringing Steve. I'm like, Steve, you know what? It's not even about me continuing. It's like, I actually want to win that title, bring it back to your Goodwin stable, and then after that, hand it back to like whoever, like, you know.
So it's amazing.
That's it. You never know. I mean, I don't know what like I said. At the moment, I'm just doing bits and bobs, helping people in the side, just spending more time with this little one. But yeah, like I said, I try to keep my hands occupied in different sections, you know, like. But yeah. And
how you finding lockdown, Waddy? Because you're not somebody I could easily see happy being sort of shut away.
Lockdown's alright, really. It's not that bad because, like I said, I'm still out and about doing my 1 hour sessions. Like if I'm going for a run, but like I said, I'm kind of sort of content as well. It's a bit bad as well that I couldn't really see my mum and that because she had a little stroke and that, so obviously I can't even sort of see her and take her. But yeah, other than that, lockdown, like I said, so glad that so many people are doing like live videos. I just finished doing a session with my friend Reese. So like I said, I'm trying to keep myself motivated a little bit, or I need to. And yeah, just keep myself busy, really. That's the main sort of thing.
Oh, anyway, thanks, Wally, for joining us tonight. Very much appreciated. We're now going to speak to a good. We're now going to speak to a good friend of yours next, Danny Couzens, who's coming on now.
Oh, my man, come on. That's one man. Listen, that's one man. Yeah, that's one man. He's a tough cookie, but that's one man I really deep down wanted him to win like something in a title. But obviously, unfortunately, I had it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like I would not give it up on my peak days. But listen, he's a great man. But listen. One love and stay safe and say hello to the families for me.
Yeah, same to you, Wally. Thanks a lot, matey. Do take care of yourself.
Cheers.
See you soon. Cheers.
Bye.
And that's WADI CAMACHO, a man that had a decorated career in the sport. And now we're going to speak to somebody who shared the ring twice with WADI. We'll just wait for WADI to check out. And then what we'll do is we'll hunt down for Danny Couzens. You just go back into that thing and just disconnect yourself. Yeah, just press the button again, same way you come in. So he's gone. And now we're going to speak to a man that shared the ring twice with him, who had another man with a great career in boxing, Danny Couzens, from down in Portsmouth. Let's get hold of Danny. Here he is. Good man, Danny. We'll talk about Danny's career.
Steve?
Danny, how are we doing?
All good, mate. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Hey, family well and everything?
All good, mate. Yeah, all good.
All good.
Trying to do the best we can, lockdown, mate.
Yeah, you staying fully locked down at the moment, are you?
Well, I'm doing a bit of exercise and that, Steve, but obviously going to the shop and that, but that's about it.
Yeah, so...
Nice weather, a few beers. You know what I mean? Out in the garden, obviously.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's fair to say you're probably one of the best fighters never to win a title, in my opinion. I mean, 5 times Southern Area challenger. I mean, I can't believe you've ended your career without winning a title. But I mean, do you have any regrets over your career, or?
To be fair, Steve, no, mate, I don't have no regrets. When I boxed Spiros, I was on fire that night.
Oh God, that was your best performance because that came on the back of the people sort of considered to be genuine. You had the Aussie Jervier stoppage followed by totally outclassing a 7-0 Spiros Dimitriou, and that was you at your peak at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was, Steve. And then obviously WADI wouldn't vacate the title, so it was final eliminator, Spiros, and then obviously out to box WADI again, and WADI was on fire that night and just beat me up, mate, didn't he? So, yeah.
But but WADI wasn't a Southern Area level fighter, was he? He was above that level.
Above that, all day long.
Yeah.
Well above that level.
Yeah. So what do you do? I mean, you then went onto the board, didn't you? And became a board inspector. Let's wait for this.
Sorry, Steve, lost you there, mate.
That's right. I said you then became a board inspector. Are you still doing that role? We lost Danny again. We'll wait for him to come back,
mate.
Good. Yeah, so you become a board inspector. Are you still doing it? We're losing him again.
I've lost you again, mate.
Well, wait. Don't know what's happening.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Give it a chance. Yeah, so you become a board inspector. Are you still doing that role?
Yes, Steve. Yeah, I was lucky enough to get on the big O2 show, Dillian Watt against Rivas. So that was a good experience to work that one. Then I've done a couple of Bournemouth shows. So yeah, I'm looking forward to boxing starting again, to be honest, Steve.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. And your kids box as well, don't they?
Yeah, I've got the 2 boys that box at Titchfield, so they're both doing all right. Danny had his best performance a couple of months ago, which is a shame, this coronavirus, because he could have got out within a couple of weeks and had another one. But he's doing all right, Steve. Yeah, they're both doing really good.
Do you like watching them box, or are you one of these dads that doesn't like it?
I do. When they box well, Steve, it's nice, but like I'm more nervous when they box than I was when I used to box. It was like, it kills me.
So so you're still keeping in contact with trainer Steve Tyrrell? You still speak to him regularly?
Yeah, mate, speak to Steve all the time. I think Steve's on here watching. I think Stevie
Oh,
boy.
is he? Because you were like a match made in heaven. You two. You got on so well. You knew each other so well, and it was great to see the love of a boxer and a trainer. Do you know what I mean? Like that, it was just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's good, Steve. We was together for quite a few years, so I went over the gym just before the lockdown. Done a training session over there, so when I can, I'll get over there, do some training, take the boys with me. So,
will you ever do training yourself or not?
What, coach?
Yeah.
I'll do. I've been helping out down the amateur club where my boys box down Titchfield, so I'll probably will do my level 2 coaching course, because I would like to. Do you know what I mean? Do a little bit, give a little bit back to the amateurs, and then obviously I've got the inspecting role on the pro side. So yeah, I don't want to be massively too involved and take. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I still go down. I do the pads and that with the boys and the girls down there. So as much as I can do, Steve.
So what do you do? What do you do work-wise now? What do you do for a living?
I still do cavity insulation. So obviously drilling and filling. Still doing that, but obviously not at the minute.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's tough for everybody, but we just got to make sure our families stay safe until the end of this, haven't we? I mean, I think you'll get. I mean, you might get a call, I guess, for these behind the with no crowd shows that are going to come. So you may well get a shout for some of them. That'd be quite interesting to do, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, if it happens, Steve, then that'd be good. I'll put my name forward and go and work on them. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that'd be the best thing. Exactly. Dan, thanks a lot for joining us today. It's really, really nice to talk to you again, my friend. Stay safe with your family.
Thanks very much, man. You take care,
We'll catch you soon. You take care. Thanks, Dan.
Cheers,
take care. Bye-bye. Bye. And that was Danny Couzens, who is one of my favourite fighters that I've to work with. Just so gutted he never won a title in the end, but one of those things. And from Danny, who I work with and helped him to get to those title opportunities, or a lot of them, to somebody I've already spoken to before on here, ELLIE SCOTNEY, not yet had her first fight. And again, some of these questions will be recovered over what we did, and some will be brand new. But we'll see whether Ellie is here.
Let's try again for the third time. So apologies for this. We've got some technical issues. Here we go. David Evans is back on, and we can then try and get through. And we can crack on and speak to Ellie. Hopefully we'll give it another go. So hopefully everybody can rejoin us. John Cole's here, good old John, one of the top trainers in South London. The numbers are all flooding on. Kev's back. Billy Stanbury, he's here. Let's hope we can try and find, see if we can try and find Ellie, if she's back on. Let's try again. Third time lucky, hopefully. Let's have a go.
Can you hear me?
I can see you.
Unfortunately, you got to look at me now. We managed to fix it. So,
damn.
So, so as I was saying, so how much above fight weight are you now?
It's a touchy subject at the minute. You're not meant to ask a woman her weight anyway, Steve. Come on.
No, when you're a boxer, though, it doesn't count. You can't. It's only when you retire from boxing.
I'm going to use it in a minute.
No, so have you had any more news from Eddie about when you're likely to fight?
I saw they put something about July, but it's hitting at minutes. I'm just getting back into the routine of things.
Yeah, so it's good. So have you been doing shifts in B&Q?
Q still. It's not been too bad.
Yeah, so you're still going.
Yeah, though. Yeah,
so have you been getting training instructions from your trainer Sam Mullins? Has he been keeping you?
Asked me the same question as you. What's your weight, Ellie? I still ain't replied. He said that at the beginning of lockdown as well.
Has he been telling you what to the meantime to keep fit and stuff like that? Got in trouble today. Still there?
You need to pay your internet bill, Steve.
I tell you, I'm paying my internet bill. I'm in a good place. Only you. I've not had any problems up to when you've come on. So.
Next door's Wi-Fi anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're hoping to be out in July, all things being well. Then that's your hope.
That's what I need it to be done. I've never talked so much before a fight, so I just want to get in there now.
I think we're going to lose her. I think it's not. You still there? Can't even hear her. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Ellie? It's not working. It's no good. Ellie, switch off and then I'll try and pick you up in a minute after I speak to Chris. I don't know who signaled that one, so we'll try now and just try and get hold of Chris Mason because we had bad luck with him last time. So let's hope we can get hold of Chris and then I'll go and pick Ellie back up afterwards if she's still there. Hopefully Chris Mason's there and we can get a better signal with Chris this time because it didn't work last week.
Let's see if this works tonight.
We're there, Chris. We're here.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, my friend. I'm good. So we started off last time. It didn't last very long, and you were just saying about you can say again all the different things you know semi-finalists, quarter-finalists in the worlds as a darts player, and you had a good career, didn't you?
Yeah, it was considering everything that went with it. You know, much publicised problems with mental health, more clinical than sort of emotional. Yeah, considering when I seen a few psychiatrists afterwards, they said, well, you didn't do anything competitive in your life, did you? And I was like, well, yeah, I was a professional dart player. I got to number 3 in the world briefly. Got to 11 in the PDC, was looking like I might make the Premier League, and then it all went belly up. But yeah, I don't regret any of it. I had a great time. Got to meet loads of great people, travelled the world, and got to continue my interest in boxing because, you know, you meet so many people from different walks of life and got to know a lot of fighters, and yeah, it was great. My first love will always be boxing, but darts was a lot easier. It hurts a lot less physically. You just broke up there, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, because you know, back then there was a huge stigma over mental health. You know, I come from a yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of stigma surrounding, you know, especially my background from.
You there, Chris? Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of stigma around then, especially with my background and everything else. So it was something you couldn't really talk about. So you end up then, you know, you can seek some help, but there was so little known about it then, and the medication that was on offer often conflicted and caused more problems. So then you know, I got involved with self-medicating, and then, you know, then it's just a vicious circle, and you know, you end up where I ended up, and it's it's so good now that so many famous people, probably the most famous one, you know, from our favourite sport, Tyson Fury, has been so open about it, and has allowed people to be more honest and seek help, and that saved lives.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the boxers I looked after is a former pro footballer, Leon McKenzie. He suffered very badly with it as well.
Yeah,
But,
and again, that background, it's not something you can be open about because, you know, ultimately it's seen as a weakness, which obviously it isn't. Yeah. But, you know, if people think you're mentally weak, especially in, you know, not so much a team sport, though it's has a massive effect on the individual. But when you play an individual sport, there really is nowhere to hide. And, you know, I think it was being prevalent now with footballers when they retire. They've got nothing to fill that gap, and that's when it becomes a problem. And in boxing, of course, boxing is a huge. You put on this huge platform, you know, thousands of people come and watch you, and when that goes, I mean, we've seen the effect of my good pal Ricky Hatton, and he had a terrible time when he retired. He just couldn't cope, but fortunately got the help and got advice, and he's now, you know, he's 100%. He looks well, sounds great, and he's doing well in life.
And where did your love for boxing start?
Well, my brother boxed. A lot of my family members boxed. I come from a gypsy background on my father's side. Fortunately, I didn't have to go through the turmoil of being brought up in a van. But yeah, so I was always around boxing. And ironically, you must know Dennis Stimpscombe. He runs the Broad Plain ABC in Bristol. He was yeah, yeah, it was a boys' club, Broad Plain Boys' Club. But he also had a massive interest in darts in Cadbury Heath, and I was a bit of a tearaway, so my dad used to take me down there regular. And then when I was about 16, 17, I trained a lot at the Empire Club, and around that time we had there were so many great fighters in Bristol then, Glenn Catley, Dean Francis, bless his soul, Adrian Stone before he went to America, and of course Chris Saniger, which I'm sure is a promoter you know very well. And I just got involved in it, and then I started doing bits with kids and that, and just taking the pads, and then when I got involved in darts, obviously, you know, everything that went on with it, that side of my life completely changed, and I got involved with the lifestyle of a then professional dart player. It's moved on a lot since, but yeah, it was a lot of late nights and a lot of awful food and a lot of drinking, and yeah, I put on massive amounts of weight. And then I quit playing about 8 years ago, and then 6 years ago I sort of slowly got involved, you know, just in local boxing clubs, and then I got off medication and I got fit and, you know, dropped 40 pounds. And I was originally I did PT in my late teens, and I did a refresher course, and then got involved in understanding about food and gut health and how what you eat affects your brain. It's, you know, there's so much more development in that and understanding, and yeah, that's pretty much my life now. I PT at the local gym. Unfortunately, our local boxing gym closed because I was gonna, you know, start trying to do a bit in there with some of the younger fighters. Yeah, I just love boxing. It fascinates me. You know, I had a few fights, but nothing official. I did a lot of sparring, but yeah, I've got massive respect for the bravery involved of stepping into that. You've got to have big balls.
Yeah. And what are some of the best fights you've seen live? Do any stand out for you?
Oh, probably Ricky versus Costa. I was a few rows back with a load of Ricky's mates. It was yeah. I've never been to an atmosphere like it was there at the MEN. It was just literally. Even the build-up, the Saturday afternoon in town, you know, everybody having a beer. It was a nice enough day. It was cold on the night, I remember that. But yeah, it was just remarkable, and the love he had of the people of Manchester, and still has to this day, because he was a man of the people. And we went to a pub. I'm pretty sure it was Carol and Ray's, his parents' old pub, and he used to do that thing, you know, shit shirt day, and. Well, it was just unbelievable. The after party went on throughout the night, and then everybody went to the pub on the next day, and it was just to see the guy that was in front of 25,000 people beforehand, you know, we were having a game of darts and a laugh and a beer, and he was just surrounded by family and friends, and it was, I don't know, humbling, I suppose is the right word. And I think that's why he was so popular, because he was just one of the lads, an incredibly talented fighter. Probably, but I don't know what his opinion was, but maybe he could have got a little bit more out of himself, or probably had a longer career. But obviously he had his problems, which shortened his career. But wow, what a great servant to British boxing. And they say about AJ and that, I'm not having it. Ricky was the game changer in terms of the fighters and the purses they want now, because there was no following in boxing, I don't believe, or not since I've been watching boxing, that was anything like Ricky's. Maybe Frank Bruno's, that might be the closest thing. But yeah, I mean, you look at the amount of people Ricky took to Vegas. I mean, it was just mind blowing.
I think there's no doubt that the warmth that Ricky had, and then the warmth that Frank had, far exceeds the warmth that AJ has. There is no comparison. It's not on the same planet, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think
that's,
I probably would think, and I don't like the word, but I use it a lot. I think far less casuals would have followed Frank and Ricky around. They were people that, you know, were boxing fans, where AJ's got that crossover appeal. I mean, perfect time, the Olympics being in the UK, the way he's been marketed and managed. And listen, he comes up for a lot of stick. We've all, you know, a lot of wiser people than me have said, look, it's not how you start your life, it's how you end it. And, you know, he has, well, people sort of rub his nose in it, his past. But I've met Andy countless times. Lovely guy. He does so much that gets unheard of, that he does for the community, and not in this country, but all over the world. He's a really genuinely good guy. And,
he's a nice guy.
Look how he's turned his life around. Rather than people ridicule of what he did in his past, they should, you know, celebrate what he's done with his future.
Listen, everybody's got a past, and I often have boxers come to me who have been in prison, who have done this. They're nice people. They just had things happen in their life, and you've got to help to pick them up and try and help them to improve their future.
Listen, you shouldn't have to, unless they sort of murdered someone or whatever else, you shouldn't, you know, it's not a life sentence. You know, breaking the law shouldn't, making mistakes in life, and, you know, we all make them. A lot, you know, and a lot of the hypocrites may not have ever been caught. Well, lucky them. But yeah, I think it's tough, and I think it's especially tough for boxers, because the media attention fighters have now is, you know, it's totally different. Social media is, you know, there's no graffiti and rubbish written on toilet doors, because it's all over social media now. You know, it's a brutal world, and, you know, it's and it must be vile. Some of the stuff I see written, not only to me, I mean, it's water off the duck's back to me. I've had it most of my life, but some of the abuse fighters have to put up with is fairly harsh. And listen, I can be a critic. You know, it's no good. You know, if you're prepared to put yourself out there online and bump your gums, you know, you're leaving yourself open for a response. So, you know, I have been equally as critical as some fighters, and I have my opinion on some fighters. I only ever gave Wilder a puncher's chance because I think he's a very average boxer. I don't go with this generic, he's the most powerful heavyweight. All the people he's been putting over have either been put over since, put over before. You know, where you get found out, you know, even Mike Tyson got found out. When you get to that elite level end, they don't fall over. You know, and Tyson Fury was a perfect example. He went over and got back up, and the rest is history. You know, it's I think we get carried away, and I think there's a lot of people in, you know, I love what you do. You know, I used to be fascinated with going to, you know, not going to the big major shows, but going to see the future of boxing and trying to find someone to follow. And I remember doing that with Joe Calzaghe. I remember he was an amateur, and I followed his whole career. And you know, he's a pal of mine, and that's what I used to love to do. And I think more people, if you're into your boxing, you've been sucked in by whether it be AJ or Fury or whoever else, start going to small halls, start supporting the promoters that start these guys off from their grassroots. And I'm about to do a thing actually about Clinton Woods, because he's a thing on one of the other boxing podcasts about forgotten fighters and those that, you know, that were world champions, that were loyal. I mean, he stayed with Dennis his whole career, didn't he?
Yes.
You know, and I think that's important. I think loyalty, and, you know, we've seen how how certain promoters have been treated in the past by fighters, and I think that's sad. And yeah, I beg for everybody to support the small halls and go and find a fighter to follow, because that used to be great back in the day. Going to York Hall and, you know, seeing fighters that you may not have seen on TV, or you might see them, you know, fight for a world title on TV or something like that, and then you'll get priced out of it, you know, because it's an expensive sport to sit, you know, ringside or, you know, a few rows back. Now you've got to be fairly wealthy, and that, you know, that's another thing that you don't get at the smaller hall shows. You all get a good seat.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, I see Frank Warren today signed a lad from Stoke thing called Nathan Heaney.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I watched him coming out, and I've seen some stuff in unbelievable following, and he deserves to be signed by a big promoter. And that's what you want, and you want to see him develop through, you know. So
well, I think it works both ways. But then we've seen it with so many fighters in the past few years. They've got this great following, and they get too much money too early, and then they take their eye off the ball. You know, as the great Marvin Hagler said, it's hard to get up for that cold, wet road run when you're sleeping in silk sheets. And I think sometimes they get carried away with the fame that these big promoters can bring them, because they put them on big bills, and ultimately they get found out. That's not saying this young man will, of course, but, you know, in the end they do get found wanting, because I don't think they learn their trade properly. I mean, you look back how many fights you used to have before you'd get anywhere near a European or a Commonwealth. You know, you had to serve your time, where now they're getting fast tracked, short careers and getting found out. But I suppose the other end of the stick is they're getting the bees and honey. But is that the be all and end all?
Yeah, they used to say, was it 20 for learning, 20 for earning? Now, at 20, some people's careers are over, aren't they?
Well, you must have a nightmare when you look to sign, you know, fighters that have a big following, and they look at you and want, you know, they're talking about six figures, and you're like, hang on a minute, you know, that comes with being pay-per-view fighters, and, you know, it is great for the top, and I think there's a frightening stat of the percentage of fighters that actually go on to earn enough money to retire, and it's minuscule with the amount of boxers we have in this country. It's a frightening stat.
I mean, you've got the problems that they've got. You've got boxers that take the wrong advice. They sign with the wrong people who don't give them the money. You then get boxers who, when it becomes their fault and they're too greedy and they go and do the wrong thing. So, you know, a boxer has got to make really good choices, both inside and outside the ring, if they're going to make good money. And Anthony Joshua is an example of somebody that's made really good choices all the way through, isn't he? So
yeah, and he stayed loyal with Robert McCracken. He's got a great relationship with Eddie. Everything's transparent. You know, and he still keeps the same people around him. In fact, his entourage gets bigger because, you know, he likes to keep everybody involved. And yeah, like I said, I think he's a nice guy. You know, I've been critical of him. I don't think he's the greatest heavyweight out there. His chin was always suspect in sparring. His chin was suspect as an amateur. And it was only a matter of time before what happened to him. That's not because I dislike him. That's far from it. But I think we often get swayed by our, you know, affection for somebody, you know, based on their ability. Did I think it was going to be Ruiz that eventually found him out? No, but there were signs in so many fights building up to it that someone who held a shot, who had quick hands, who could punch a little bit and know where to hit him, was going to find him out. And the problem for him now will be like Wilder. He'll be slightly gun shy, and everybody will fancy just putting it all on the line and just going for it, because they know if they tag him, you know, his powers of recovery to get up there because of his fitness. But once he does get up on his feet, he's scrambled. He's for the beast, the genetics.
1 second, just
but they also.
Yeah, I mean, so I think I know the answer. So Fury, Joshua, you'd fancy Fury?
Yeah, I think he's all wrong for him. He's too long. He's too cute. He's too clever, and he certainly punches hard enough to worry AJ. I mean, this thing about him not being a puncher. Listen, anybody who weighs 18, 19 stone each year, that they can all punch. They may not have that explosive one-punch power, but that's not you know, Muhammad Ali wasn't really all about that, was he?
No, agree.
And it's just shot selection, and Fury will have a way of not working himself hard, but make you work your nuts off to try and get somewhere near to him. You throw a lot of shots. The shots that drain your energy are the ones that miss. And I just think he's nowhere on the technical level of Fury. Does he punch harder? Yeah, probably. Does he look better? Yeah, 100%. Can he fight better? That's debatable. Could he outbox him? No, absolutely not. I mean, this is a guy that, you know, I mean, let's have it right. It wasn't the most exciting fight in the world against Klitschko with Fury, but he stood him on his head, and a fighter that was 18 months older, AJ went life and death with him, and when you've got a common fighter in that trio of fighters, it tells you everything you need to know. And you know, maybe a fully healthy Dillian White might cause AJ all the trouble he needs. Pulev certainly won't, that's for sure. You know, this is a guy that how he gets himself into these positions and earns all that money, I don't know, but that's boxing politics and I suppose the managers involved and TV companies and everything else. But I think that would be just a quick blowout for AJ, and then he's gonna have his hands full, because I think because of what we've seen with the COVID, I think with your promoter, I've listened to a lot what Eddie said over the last few days, a lot of what Frank said, and I think they realised that maybe stalling could be to their detriment financially, and they might just want to get that fight made as quick as possible and strike while the iron's hot, because there's a lot of money. I mean, that's the biggest fight in British heavyweight history. I don't think there's a fight out there, if you remove Canelo, that generates this kind of money, and I think they'll be keen to just get it on, get their 2 fights out of the way. Of course, Fury's got the contracted 3rd fight with Wilder if he takes it, which I presume he will, because will he get another payday of that amount of money anywhere else? I don't think so. I think he's been exposed. I think Ortiz exposed him. You know, originally. I mean, I remember watching Wilder when he fought a guy called Harold Sconiers, and the actual coverage of that, I think it's somewhere, maybe on Vimeo or something like that. It disappeared completely, and this was a guy that like almost stood him on his head, and it disappeared from from history, apart from on BoxRep. And I think Wilder would be very much like AJ. Any of the top end fighters will fancy their chances against him because they have been exposed.
You know, and Dillian White's the other one. I mean, he's turned down a couple of final eliminators, but he's sort of stuck on the outside of everything, isn't he?
Well, again, I don't have any. You know, I've met Dillian a couple of times. Nice enough geezer. We did the PDC fishing thing with him last year, I think it was. Nice enough geezer, but you know, he's turned down fights. You can't squinty about going. You know, listen, if you've made all this money out of boxing, you can't squinty about, you know, taking the shortcut of money, right? If the belts are on the line, if there's no belts involved, fair enough. But surely a boxer's dream should initially be to win titles. That the money should be a bonus. And he's just got greedy and then cries about being in this mandatory position for so long. Well, I'm sorry, but if you've turned down fights, irrelevant. You know, they didn't offer him 25 quid. You know, he was probably offered 4 or 5 million quid or 3 million quid. But for your chance for that glory to get your hands on the belts, for me, I think it's short-sighted. I mean, he could end up now. Let's be honest. He could end up losing his next fight. That's it. He won't get himself in mandatory position again.
No, that's fair. There was an argument for taking. Yeah. He could have been there. He could have had that day when Joshua was. That could have been Dillian White that beat him and become champion.
100%. And like I say, sometimes you've got to take the short change, because, you know, if you win the belt, then you write your own checks. Once you've got the belts, that's it. If you take short money to get your hands on the main prize, and then you'll make your money anyway. Obviously, I don't get it. But you know, when it boils down to it, are they advised, or you know, it's hard to ever say a fighter doesn't fancy it because they wouldn't be in the fight game. But you know, maybe they're advising they say, look, don't take this fight because, you know, you'll have an easier fight, you'll make, you know, X amount of money fighting this guy and so on and so forth. But, you know, I'm not a boxing promoter for a reason.
Well,
I probably get
you could be. Your knowledge is, Chris, your knowledge is good enough to be one, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I love the sport. I study the sport. You know, whenever I speak to it, and it's probably a book you've read, The Four Kings by George Kimball, I always say to people, listen, that's your first stop book on boxing. Read that. If you can read that from back to front, because it's a long old book, you love the fight game. And yeah, I'm constantly trying to educate myself, learn about, you know, every aspect of it, whether it be from, you know, promoting how mandatories work, you know, and including all the fitness and stuff. You know, I've done a few bits with a couple of local lads who fight. Yeah, so you know, I just love the fight game, and one day, you know, when I've had enough of doing the darts commentary and the other pies I have my fingers in, then it might be something that, you know, I'll do to wind down my career maybe, and just to be involved in a, you know, in some capacity, because I do absolutely love the sport.
I'll tell you, Chris, it's been a real pleasure talking boxing with you. I mean, it's first time we've ever spoken. You're a really good guy, and I'm a darts fan as well. So I remember watching you in 2000. So
we'll have a Busman's holiday. I'll come to one of your fights, and I'll take you to a night at the darts.
That sounds 100%. Anytime you like, you'll be welcome. Chris,
perfect.
Thanks a lot, my friend. You look after yourself.
And you, mate.
Take care. Bye, mate.